And my question is, in that year when your record started breaking out, how was it that how did the radios accept the style of music that you were pushing at the time? Because it was really different. It was original at the time.
Well, I had just left being a DJ, so I kind of had a feeling for what they were playing and what they were liking. So what I did was I did what they were doing in the clubs already. You know what I mean? So I didn't have to try to get them accustomed to liking something new. So what I did was just an extended version of what was out there already. So they were very accepting to that.
Now, what kind of beats were out there in the clubs at the time? Like Planet Rock influence or breakdancing, or what? What was actually kicking?
Yeah, during that time it was like Beat Street, African Bambaataa, a lot of break dancing and that type of music.
Awesome. And actually, John, you had a couple questions also.
Well, just as a producer, I'm looking at your studio and I see a lot of the old school equipment still being used as opposed to the new. I see you got it mixed up, and I was just kind of curious. I'm wondering if, like me, you prefer some of the older stuff to get that real rich sound as opposed to that new digital stuff they got going on.
Yeah, I mean the digital stuff is cool. You know, I like it, but honestly, it just don't have the warmth, the bottom. You know, the body. It just you know. But I think they're accustomed now to not having it. But I happen to know or believe that once they start to hear the warmth and the body along with the songs that they like, it's going to be like an industry changing type thing. You know.
One of the questions that I had in this, in this industry, in regards to bass music, because that's bass music has definitely in the last 20 years crossed over into what is now the pop market with the Black Eyed Peas, and of course, you got the group here, Pretty Ricky, and we just landed in the studio today with that sound that's coming back.
Yeah.
In all these years of the music industry changing, what is it that you like and what is it that you dislike about the industry?
Man, what I like is it's still open. I mean, people still, have the choice to like what they like, if they can hear it. The thing about radio now, you only get to hear about 10, 12 records a day, all day. The difference back then was, you get a variety of music, let the people choose what they like. And so these days, it's kind of like you have a choice of these 6, 7 records, and which of these 6, 7 records you like. So I mean, that's the difference. And back then, like I say again, they had more records on the radio, and people had more choices, and they got to choose and determine what they like on it, and didn't like.
I just had another question, Tony, about being a b-boy myself in the early '80s, growing up to your music. I know back then it started in New York, the electro sound, and then it primarily kind of came down here, and maybe California was doing a little bit with the Egyptian Lover and all that stuff. I just wanted to know maybe some of your memories and thoughts on how it evolved from those points.
Well, for me, it was like when I did my first record, it went platinum, and to be quite honest, the people in New York thought I was lucky. So if you wasn't from New York back then, it wasn't, it wasn't considered legitimate. So second record went platinum. He's lucky. Third record went platinum. Fourth, fifth record went platinum. Maybe it was serious. So by the fourth or fifth record, then I think they took me serious. But if you wasn't from New York back then, it wasn't. You had to be lucky to get your record. They saw it to be lucky, but then it became accepted. And how that happened really was the records was doing so well from the first one that we had the pressing plants down here running 2 shifts. So we had 4 pressing plants on double shifts. So went out and bought a pressing plant and made it 24/7. So that was the only way we was able to keep our records. When I did the first one, fixed it in the mix, then one pressing plant was doing that one, then jammed the box, another pressing plant, only my records. And then when I hear music came, so that's how it went.
Yeah, so that's what my next thing was, just so the audience can relate out there. The records, the artists that I remember when I was a kid, I was listening to Debbie Deb, Trenier, Freestyle, and as a music lover, I would buy these records, and I see your name all over these records, so I knew they were coming from one formula. And just to let them know, how did Debbie Deb do at that time?
Well, Debbie Deb was the third record that I did. Let's see. Yeah, fourth record, as a matter of fact. So I had 3 platinum records before Debbie Deb. But what I was doing was learning the business as I was doing the business. You know, so I go, you know what? Let me stop doing Pretty Tony records because I'm never gonna go out and do any shows. So I'm missing money. I'm missing, you know. So I started learning more about the business. So as opposed to me being the artist, I go, let me get artists so that way I can have a more well-rounded company and whatnot. So I met Debbie Deb at a record store and I heard her voice. I had a track already done, and I go, you know what? Immediately when I heard her voice, I go, that's the voice the track needs. So I asked her, hey, you want to be on a record? She goes, I can't sing, dude. So I go, just come to the studio. So she came to the studio that night, and as she had the headphones on, I was writing the words and she was saying them, and it took about 15 minutes. And after that, 3 weeks later, it was like it had sold 500,000. And a couple of weeks after that, it was platinum. And then she called me about 2 months later and go, hey, you want to make another record? Yeah. So that's how we did Lookout Weekend.
I think we should note that's before auto-tune, and she actually had to sing those notes before the computer could alter it and make it sound good.
Yeah. Auto-tune, yeah.
Since you know, our second documentary after this is going to be based on freestyle with the Debbie Deb influence and all that stuff. Since we're on the topic of bass music and the sound of quad, when did that come into play actually in Miami?
Well, honestly, because I didn't know any better. You know, I know it sounded good. I had a good idea as to what people would like, so that's what I did on the record. So when let me back up just a little bit. The first group I did was an actual band, drummer, guitar player, and this and that. So we put the record out. The record went #1 on the radio, and they went totally crazy. Everybody started telling them they were superstars and this and that and this and that. So they came and had a meeting and say, we want to get rid of Tony because he's trying to tell us too much what to do. So I tell you what, you guys can do what you want to do. You can do everything you want to do. Get out of here. I went and bought an 808 drum machine, a keyboard, and a vocoder, and every record after that was platinum. So, you know, that's part of the business. But and that's the vocoder thing is kind of like with the what's happening now with the auto tune, with the different version of it.